This week on So Fucking What?
We're diving straight into the...
This is always the hardest part.
Why are we so delusional?
We're talking about MAFS. Welcome back to So Fucking What? Today, Stephen is not here. We have a very, very special guest. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Celia.
Welcome on, our very first
Thank
guest
you.
of the season. How are you feeling about doing today's podcast?
I'm very excited. I feel like there's a lot to debrief about what's happened.
As expected, so much stuff on the MAFS schedule to be dealing with. So strap in for the next however long because we will be going through it all. Where do we start? I think the only place that makes sense to start with is probably going to be all the way back at the commitment ceremony.
Yeah.
Let's deal with those who left, all the old news, and then we're going to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
But the first person I want to talk about is, or people per se, Lauren and Clint.
Yeah.
How are we feeling?
Oh, there's a lot of mixed emotions about them. Like Lauren is she's just an awful human. Like she's just like...
Where's the mix of emotions there? It feels like it's a pretty strong...
I know, that's true. I do have strong... It's more about Clint because at the start I thought that he was quite a genuine guy. Like he actually had feelings for Lauren and wanted to continue this. But then now... he's just like made a full 360 turn and now he's like, oh no, we're just friends. We're happy to leave together. And I'm just so confused.
That man is so incredibly whipped and everyone else can see it, including Lauren, but himself, right? He would walk over hot coals if that's what Lauren asked him to. And basically, I mean, you know, the embarrassment that he's caused himself isn't much better. So what a bizarre coupling.
Yeah.
Now that Clint is dating Jackie, which we all know is happening in the real world. I wonder what the conversations over a glass of red at dinner are between those two as to what he was on during that period.
Yeah.
Lauren is just, honestly, we talked about her a lot last week as well. I loved that Mel, the expert,
I know, yes.
read
I was
that
just about
woman
to bring that up.
to filth.
Yep.
Sit back and stop talking and shitting on everyone else.
Honestly, Mel, like telling her that her personality is just like not it is the funniest thing and it's so iconic. Like that just needs to go everywhere. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And much needed. And I think she wasn't going to listen to anyone else but potentially the experts.
Yeah.
Do I think she listened? No. But if it was going to have any impact, it was going to be by one of them.
Yeah, 100%.
So good riddance, I say. Those two were becoming really quite unbearable. I don't understand why you go onto a show, and I was saying the exact same thing to Stephen last week, like why you go onto a show knowing what you're signing up for. It's season 12.
Yeah.
We need to always remember and go back to that fact, right? It's season 12. You know what you're signing up for. You know who else is going to be the type of person going into that.
Yeah.
Why are you acting shocked when they're not your people? Babe, you're on MAFS. That lumps you into the same category as everyone else. You are just as much a bogan as everyone else.
The fact that she thinks she's better than the people on the literal same show that she is on is absolutely crazy. Like calling them animals, it's like, babe, you're an animal yourself. Like
you're an animal. Celia's not holding back.
I don't
it
have
nicely.
time for people like that. If I met her in real life, I just feel like I wouldn't talk to her. You'd say hi and then
She wouldn't talk to you
No,
probably.
that's probably the case. Yeah, she'd think she's better than me anyways, even though she's never met me, but yeah.
Oh, dear. Now, the only other person that I think worth mentioning at this commitment ceremony would probably be Jamie because as we know last week, she was very much in the firing line for her pretty forward, I guess, confrontation style, especially after the fallout with her and Lauren. Do you think that the experts were fair in calling her out in that way, or do you think she was in the right?
I think that Jamie was a bit too much, you know, so I think it was fair. I think it was fair because I feel like Jamie knows how to like hold a good conversation. She knows how to express herself in a non-angry way sometimes. Obviously, like what happened was so unfair to her, but I think it was fair for the experts to call her out. And she ended up being a good thing because she ended up apologizing, and to Karina especially, and Lauren wasn't even there to see that, so that's a good thing as well. But yeah, I think it was fair, definitely. Yeah.
I think, and look, last week, Stephen and I were very much, we're riding at dawn. This is fucked. How could anyone think she's in the wrong? And I have changed my tone just a little bit. Now that I'm in the safe space where Stephen's not going to attack me by saying this. And look, when I say what I'm about to say, I am still Jamie's number one fan.
Yeah.
After Stephen, of course. I do think it was an aggressive approach. I think it didn't actually help her prove her point.
Yeah,
I think when she started that conversation at the dinner party, she did such a good job at articulating. And I think it's fair to an extent to feel angry when somebody doesn't really get why and doesn't really validate that.
Yeah.
The amount that she pushed it though was a lot. And it, as I think, was it Alessandra that said, you're no better than the actual perpetrator. Yeah. Like Lauren over here, this is why this all started. Let's remember.
Yeah.
I feel like it just got so lost in the kind of shit of everything else that everyone's like, well, wait, why are we so angry at each other? This is not who we're supposed to be angry at. Like, you're fighting the wrong battle, babes.
It's actually also kind of crazy that it all unfolded while the perpetrator wasn't even in the room in both occasions. Like, Lauren had left right at the start of that commitment ceremony, and she also wasn't there at the dinner party, and it was still the same arguments over this one person who literally doesn't care. She's
literally
off to do her own thing.
I love how we're calling Lauren a perpetrator as if she's committed some sort of felony punishable by prison, which, you know, anyway. I'm joking, obviously. So let's round that out because it's nearly been a week now. We're already gearing up for the next commitment ceremony this Sunday. Let's talk about the couple swap week. Now, it has been a controversial thing to happen in previous years for the very reason that, like, it is literally wife swap, right? Yeah. What do you feel about the idea of doing that in general before we get into it?
I was thinking about this as well, and I think it's quite an unnecessary task. I mean, I think the only reason that they do it is for the drama. Because totally. I don't actually see a reason, like, okay, it's good to get a third party perspective, but it's kind of crazy the fact that they literally swapping these couples and making them sleep in the same bed. Like, that concept is crazy. Like, I put myself in that position. I'm like, oh my God, like, I would hate that. But I think it's also kind of good to get that different perspective for sure. But it's just crazy.
I think it is weird, but I think we also by now have established that the MAFS producers can and will do anything to stir up drama. Like, it's not necessary, but at the same time, most of this isn't as well. If it was just for the, you know, what's going to better than the relationship, then most of the tasks on MAFS probably would be cleared off.
Especially the
I didn't
ranking
like that the wives had to leave. Like, they were the ones that had to all pack up their bags. I was like, bitch, why are you going? Like, get him to move his stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
But all right, let's get into, I think, you know, the people who struggled the most with that challenge, which was Karina and Paul.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on her reaction to this? Because it was quite dramatic.
I agree. I think it was quite dramatic. She seems like quite just an insecure person, just like a bit jealous. So, I mean, I guess, you know, any sort of person in a relationship would feel uncomfortable with another man sleeping in, another female sleeping with their man. But I don't know, like, it just was quite dramatic just to cry over it. And I get that she's quite religious, but I don't know, it just seems a bit weird that she was just so upset about it.
Yeah.
Especially when they're all friends, you know?
I feel like the fact that her religion has only been something she's really brought up until now, it was very convenient. And I'm not saying that she's not, but, like, I don't exactly think she's going to fucking temple every Sunday, you know? Like, let's kind of be real. It's a sleepover.
Yeah.
Afina's on the couch. Like, let's all calm down.
I think it was mainly because of the whole situation with the sister.
Totally.
Which is fair, but also, like, Afina and Cleo are completely different people. Like, Paul's not actually going on a sleepover with the person he used to have a fling with. Like, they're completely different people. And even Afina mentioned that. And she was like, I'm not the same as my twin. And it's like, why is Karina crying over that?
Yeah, I think the whole religion was a really good excuse to make it look like she wasn't just jealous and insecure. I think, you know, at the point that we then saw her coming out, slamming Cleo for being that kind of caliber, it became very, very transparent that she was super, super insecure.
Yeah.
And look, that is fine to be insecure. I mean, not ideal, like maybe babes go to therapy, but like it's fine if it doesn't actually result in you then dragging other people down. And that was so uncalled for. And I honestly thought it was such a red flag. Maybe that's just because I can't stand insecure people. But I just think that is not the right way to go about voicing your concerns.
Yeah. What do you think of Paul calling her a snob and telling that to Athena?
And here was, I think, the funny thing, well, not so funny thing about that episode, right, is that I actually don't think either of them went about it in the correct way.
No.
She was in the wrong for calling Cleo a snob and probably making a bigger deal out of it than it needed to be. And he was definitely not in the right for writing that letter that was very much dragging her through the mud, very judgmental.
Yeah.
And then voicing that to Athena, especially using that word snob.
Yeah.
And I think if you can't say that to your partner, then you shouldn't say it to anyone else.
He literally missed, like, remember when he read out the letters to the partners?
Literally.
He literally, like, purposely missed that out on that word because he knows it's a terrible word to call your partner, especially behind their back.
Oh, so wrong. And I can see why she really did lose a lot of trust in him, even if she is a snob. I think it's one of those, like, if he was genuinely concerned about that and wanted to have that chat, in terms of their values and where they align on that, it should have happened in private, not for the first time being told on national TV to Athena, not even to her face. I think both of them were in the wrong there. And I can see why she doesn't trust him now. I honestly think at the end of that dinner party, as much as I don't think either of them did the right thing this week, Karina owned it. And Paul actually wasn't even able to see why she was still potentially mildly upset.
100%.
Or more than mildly upset.
Yeah.
So I think Karina definitely ultimately came out on top. And I don't know, it seems like something small, but I feel like that would really throw me in a relationship. And I think it will probably cast quite a bit of doubt for Karina moving forward.
You wonder, like, what else Karina would want to tell Paul, like, you know, anything about the other cast members. And then he's out telling, you know, the whole world what she's saying behind, you know, someone's back. And look, it's not necessarily a nice thing to say, but, you know, we all say some bad things about people sometimes, and we tell that to our partners. We don't want them to tell, you know, that person or their sister.
Exactly.
You know?
It's giving Paul wants some more airtime because his Instagram followers haven't gone up enough. That's so mean. But maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. It felt unnecessary, I think. And that was the takeaway. Like, why do you feel the need to say this of all people to Athena?
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to what I think possibly was the funniest matching of the week. And I just know the little MAFS producers were rubbing their hands together. Ryan and Beth.
Oh my God, yeah.
Thoughts, comments, queries there.
They 100% did that on purpose. I mean, we all know that, but they knew that was going to be a problem and that was going to bring the drama.
Yeah.
So.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I think the MAFS producers probably expected them to get more content than they did.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, there was not actually that much that they really covered because they genuinely just avoided each other for that entire time.
Like, it would have been so awkward to just wake up with this person and then just, like, make a coffee and then just it being silence, or just, like, she mentioned something about, oh, those are cute flowers you've got there. And it's just, like, it's so awkward.
He is insufferable.
He's honestly one of the weirdest, I think, contestants I've ever seen on
Timu
MAFS.
Tate.
Yeah.
He honestly needs to stop listening to Joe Rogan and listen to our podcast instead. It's equally as successful. Anyway, moving on then to Jackie and Jeff, because she was in seventh fucking heaven.
She was on cloud nine. She was loving her life. I mean, to be fair, Jeff, you know, he was doing everything for her, which is maybe the type of person he is, which is great, which is what you want in a man. But she's like, she literally said Hotel Jeff.
Hotel Jeff.
Hotel Jeff.
We all need a trip to Hotel Jeff. My God. I thought that was hilarious
Yeah.
that she walked in with the dress being like, babes, time to
I know.
steam it. You're on hubby duties.
It's hilarious.
It was pretty iconic. And I thought Jeff was able to take the piss out of it because like he is someone who could do that.
Yeah,
so I thought that was very interesting.
Yes.
And I think it was really good for Jackie to see because, you know, she has come out online and on her private or on her business Instagram account basically dragging Ryan's name through the mud in terms of the type of behavior that he kind of exhibited towards her. And while it's obviously only one side of the story and we can't really fact check that because it is one person's word against another, it sounds like he was a very, very difficult person to live with.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy that she actually just got a moment to see what a regular relationship looks like.
And the thing she was saying was kind of crazy. Like Jeff was just doing minimal things like cooking dinner for her and they were going for runs together. And I'm just questioning what Ryan does with her.
Never cooked
what
dinner.
do they do together then?
Take photos, argue.
Put all the photos on the wall.
It's so bizarre
It's
and
very-
I still don't get how into each other they are.
Yeah.
I
know.
No amount of logic or reasoning will make me understand this and I don't actually think it's the MAFS editing that's making it weird.
Yeah.
I think it's just genuinely a weird relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
But oh my gosh, he is something else. If Ryan was to cook something for you, what do you reckon he would?
Oh, it would be something like, you know, one of those gym boys cooks.
Chicken and rice.
Yeah, chicken.
All the way.
Just like a plain chicken and
That
rice. No
man-
flavor, just really bulky chicken and rice, you know, just with a side of testosterone, you know?
That man doesn't know what a pepper shaker looks like if it hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, you know, there's only so much we can really unpack with that couple because you end up with more questions than answers, really, don't you?
Yeah. What do you think of Jackie writing like 3 pages worth of notes on her letter?
So I saw actually today the full letter that she posted on her
really?
Instagram. She posted the full thing.
Wow.
Now, for context, which was obviously edited out, the first maybe quarter to a third of it did have positive notes.
That's
the
good
rest
at
of it was
least.
totally
Yep.
complete
Yep.
slander. But what I thought was interesting is that she's basically come out and said, I was intentionally trolling him to try and stir a reaction so that the world could see.
Yeah.
Now, do I believe that?
Yeah.
I don't disbelieve it, but I feel like that requires a lot of foreplanning given that they weren't told that they were even going to read their letters to their partners because it was originally designed for their partner swap person. So I
that's hard to
feel
believe,
like
actually.
that's not true. With that being said, whether she intended to or not, she 100% trolled him.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious.
It was so funny.
Oh my God, that man, if you actually looked any closer, he'd have steam coming out of his ears.
He was literally speechless, and it's hilarious to see someone like that, you know, getting mentioned that they think that their partner's going to be the breadwinner in the relationship and he's not financially capable. For him, that's like a massive crush to their ego. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
And look, she obviously alluded to those things, but I think the takeaway realistically was more like, if I'm earning more money, then I am the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And because of her career, that's actually a very real probability that she is earning on a higher
100%.
income. And so it wasn't like you don't earn money, you don't do this.
Yeah.
It was more just like, well, when push comes to shove, if we do want to, you know, stay together or raise a family, it would make more sense if Jackie was earning a higher income for her to be the sole breadwinner. So, Ryan, how would you feel about that?
Yeah.
And yes, he got angry, and I think we all expected that. That was, you know, the least surprising thing to happen on this season so far. But I don't necessarily understand why it was an invalid question, because you kind of go, well, babes, let's get a bit of a reality check here going, right? Like, the cost of living, Cosy lives is through the roof.
100%.
Like,
It's an important question to ask.
Jackie asking what happens if I was in a coma, would you raise the kids? And he's stumped. He's like, I've never thought about it like this.
It's like, he's like, how dare you ask me if I would be a stay-at-home dad? Like, that's like the craziest thing someone could ask. Like, it's normal this day and age, you know?
And you know what? I think the funniest thing is that if he had said to Jackie, I really don't want to, have that as be my legacy and my life path. I feel like I want to be the breadwinner or we both work.
Yeah.
Funny that in the 21st century. Solution, problem solved. Hire a fucking nanny. God. But I think he could have just been like, rather than I'm offended that you would see myself as so emasculated, be like, you know what? I've always felt passionate about my career and it's never something I'd want to give up. There, conversation over. You're welcome.
We all know that Ryan's incapable of doing such a thing, though, and talking away. You can see the way he talks to Jackie. It's just so controlling. It's
my God.
we have to agree on this together. We're a united team, although he's dictating everything. It's crazy.
Under Ryan's, perspective, we're all about to go into battle of some sorts. Like the seriousness of this man. He's preparing for World War III at any moment. And look, I get those MAFS dinner parties can be a lot, but my God, babes,
I know,
get a fucking foot massage and chill out. Have a glass of iced water. Honey, you're taking it a bit far. Anyway, moving on, and we're only spending 2 seconds on this. Elliot and Veronica.
Yeah. Well, it's very clear that they're not a good match, definitely. I think I kind of am siding more on Elliot now. Like, I feel this sort of transition, which is weird.
I agree.
I know.
And I hate that I agree.
I know, me too, because like he was just being so kind to Ree during the swap exchange, buying her fruit because she's into her fitness and exercise, and really just open to the experience and learning about him, Ree's and Jeff's relationship. So I don't know. And then you've got Veronica just, having an absolute blast.
I don't really, like, she seems normal and then she doesn't. I just don't know if it's
She'll
like
just
bad
go
editing.
from one way to another, like straight away.
Surely the MAFS producers, knowing she's an actor, have brought her in and kind of given her hint, hint, nudge, nudge, just create fucking turmoil for these fuckers.
You know what was so iconic?
That would be the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. What was so iconic was when Elliot was like, when she was getting angry at him and she got up and left and he was like clapping, he's like, and the Oscar goes to, which is so iconic considering she's an actual actress. Like that's her career, and he's clapping saying the Oscar goes to. I was pissing myself. I was like,
oh my God, those two are so, like, I don't even know why they hate each other that much. Have you seen, talking about Elliot, his new TikTok channel?
Yes, I have.
That man is on TikTok 24/7.
He's on a grind.
Apparently he was like banned from making comments at one point because he was making them too quickly. They thought he was a bot. Why do I like him all of a sudden?
I know.
I hate that.
I know, me too.
I hate that.
I
but
feel like
I actually feel like, I don't know, maybe MAFS has taught him a thing or two.
Yeah.
He seems like an actual normal person.
I know.
And reasonable.
I can't tell if it's the edits or if he's just sort of changed a bit, or just because we've realised Lauren is a horrible person and maybe he's not as bad as she was.
I didn't like Lauren from the get-go.
Yeah.
I actually didn't. And so I don't think, my problem with him was never that he left early. Like, I thought that was maybe a bit too soon, but knowing what we now know from Lauren, I'd kind of probably not be that far off from leaving as well. That was never what kind of grinded my gears. It was just like the type of person that he was looking for just like gave me the ick.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay. And his high expectations and all that.
And just like really closed-mindedness. And whether it's the experiment, whether it's been editing, maybe a little bit a mix of both. He doesn't give me that vibe anymore.
Yeah.
He seems like he's really open to, like, as we saw with Ree this week, constructive criticism. And he's fucking funny.
Yeah, he is.
So, hats off to you, Elliot. Anyway, I said we were going to spend 2 seconds on that, and we didn't. So then now we kind of get to the real nitty-gritty.
Oh, God, I'm like...
And we've all been waiting for this. So we'll start to round out the couples weekend with obviously Dave and Veronica.
Yeah.
Thoughts, comments?
I think it's a bit sus. Like, they were getting along a bit too well. And the fact that Dave just completely changed his mind right after, and the fact that Veronica just like, oh, this is how I should be treated. This is what it's like to be with someone that, I might actually like. I'm like, whoa, slow down there. I don't know what's going on, but I think something happened a little bit.
Do you?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what, but I feel like something happened.
Here's my take. I don't think any official cheating happened. But with that being said, I feel like the fact that we're questioning it is the problem in itself. Whether the MAFS producers leaned into it, whether this, that, whatever, the fact that there is doubt cast shows that there's a problem. She was flirty with him. I don't know if there was any outwards cheating, but it was inappropriate. There was too much flirting,
too much
especially
laughing
from her end. I was like,
you don't need to giggle this much. She's like, I'm so giggly.
Where was the joke, babe? That wasn't even funny. Like I, at the time, emphasis on at the time, also like Dave. I was like, what are you laughing about? Dave could be like, oh, the weather's 22 degrees today. And she'd be cacking herself on the floor. I was like, honey.
She's like definitely that type of girl that laughs at all his jokes, like him wanting to like her. Like, oh my God, you're so funny.
Yeah, she kind of gave that vibe. And I've actually really liked Veronica up until this point. And I still don't dislike her, but I just thought that it was a little bit too much. And I think, you know, the other problem is that there was just like not boundaries set by Dave. You know, Veronica's not... Okay, they're married. They're not. She hates her husband. She has probably a little bit more of a moral flexibility when it comes to exploring things with another partner. Dave, however, is not in that situation. No. And so it was probably on him, as awkward as it might be, to just, and you don't have to be outward about it. Like, it doesn't have to be weird, but just like not really going that far. Like, put a fucking pillow between the two of you while you sleep.
I know,
don't
there
make
wasn't,
like silly little inside jokes and stuff like that. By doing that and participating in that, he was ultimately enabling it. Yeah. And I think that's what's caught people off guard. Deep down, I don't think anything happened, but enough did for us to be like, well, that's actually kind of uncool, you know? What about Jamie and Adrian?
I think it's like a friendship that was probably meant to happen for her. I don't know what's happening to me as well. It's the same with Elliot. I'm starting to side with Adrian.
Why is he making sense?
I know. And I know. Why is he starting to literally like make good comments and like actually give constructive advice that we didn't see at the start of him and Athena's relationship? And I'm just so confused that I'm now I wouldn't say but I'm just agreeing with what Adrian is saying, and it's really like getting me off guard. Like, I'm just so confused.
I don't like him still because in my mind he was always further down my good books list than someone like Elliot was. But he is making sense on occasion.
Which is quite surprising.
I haven't been able to say that until now. We're like, what? 9 weeks in. Brutal.
Savage. Very brutal. Needed though, but brutal.
But I do think there is some truth in what he was saying. Oh, yeah. And I hate how this story goes. Oh my God.
No, I literally
Let's just get to it. Yeah. What do you think is going on between the two of them?
I'm not gonna lie, I almost started tearing up when I saw Jamie cry. Like for me.
It was
I know. I literally was like, I feel so much for this girl. Like, I loved her from the start. She's been my get-go girl. And I was like, I could cry right now for her.
I felt so triggered by last night's dinner party episode because I was like, wait a second. I've seen this before. This feels familiar.
Yep.
I hate him.
Yeah, I know. Yep. I hate him too, and I just feel so sad for my girl. I know.
Okay, here's why he's been wrong. I'm not even going off my notes anymore. Yeah. So I think the main problem is that everyone has a right to feel like they're not feeling it or that they're not in love. Yeah. That wasn't the problem. Jamie wasn't she wasn't upset about the fact that he had yet to say, I love you to her, right? It was the fact that he doesn't initiate anything. It's starting to make her feel insecure in the connection. And then when she finally musters up, kind of connects the dots and musters up the courage to go, hey, this is making me feel worried. I need some reassurance from you. He goes, well, you know, that's offensive.
I
Like,
literally
why
hated
would
his
you have
response.
doubts?
It was so bad.
It's like, babe, that's not what you
Yeah,
say.
no.
You either say, actually, yes, I do have doubts and I'm deeply sorry
Yeah.
that I haven't told you this before because I've only realized this week. Okay. Don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing in his spare time. Or B, you go, oh my God, I'm so upset that you think that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm really, really into you. It's just because my feelings aren't there yet,
Yeah.
or because I'm not a sexual person, or because, fucking aliens are invading the earth. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just give an answer one way or another. He
Yeah,
offered
literally.
zero reassurance.
It
And
was just so bad. It was like every aspect of it was terrible.
he
The way
gave her nothing.
Nothing.
He gave her nothing. And not only that, but he kind of victimized himself.
I know.
And it was just so
What was
horrible
so
to
crazy
watch.
as well was when the cameras were asking him, how do you feel about Jamie? And his first response was, oh, I don't hate her guts. I don't hate the girl.
Oh my
God. Like,
God.
wouldn't the first thing you say, look, I really do care for, I mean, he did say that, but it's just like the same thing on repeat. But the first thing he said was literally, look, I don't hate her guts. I don't hate the girl. What? What do you mean you don't hate her?
switch
You just
up-
spent weeks with her.
The switch up and
It's crazy.
It's
Who is this man?
terrifying.
Who is this man?
Literally. And the whole chat that they had before the dinner party and him being like, oh, shall we just talk about it then? It's like, oh my God, no. Read the fucking room.
Yeah, no.
And B, I think the reason why she was upset as well is just like outwardly being like, if you're not feeling this, you need to tell me
Yeah.
because they have been together for 2 months. And okay, saying I love you to someone after 6 weeks might be soon, but what we also have to factor in is that these people are living together and they have been in close corners and stressful environment
spend
for a very
24/7
long
together.
time.
They
I
literally do.
personally think that's probably a reasonably normal
yeah. Oh,
reaction for
100%.
someone that you've been living with. And so for him to kind of just then twist that and be like, it's too soon, or my feelings haven't progressed. They're not progressing. I don't have any feelings for you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, firstly, which one is it? The diversion tactics that he used, he just like pussyfooted around this whole
Yeah.
conversation. She's like, I can take it, but just tell me.
Yeah.
Like, there's not been any concern being brought up until now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, by the way, I really don't have any
Yeah.
feelings for you.
And
You're
the
like,
fact that she was like, I own how I feel, and he can't own how he's feeling. Like, she knows that she said she loves him. And it's like, just tell her whether you like her or not. But to leave it to this far is absolutely insane.
it's
Like,
just bizarre.
it's
actually
weird.
just
Yeah.
so weird.
It's
and
really
when you
weird.
talk to people, everyone's kind of on the same page. They're like, we don't think he's a bad person,
No.
but it's just weird. It doesn't make sense. The only instance that it would make sense would be, for example, if he had cheated and was
Yeah.
feeling guilty and he had these feelings but he felt bad. But I don't think that's happened
Yeah.
either. So it's like, bro, like just tell us how you feel.
I know.
And he's totally
I
unable.
literally just want to yell at the screen. I was literally like, just tell her how you feel. Like, it's literally like painful to watch.
And then finishing that dinner party with, yeah, I want to keep working on
I
it.
know.
It's like
Oh,
Jamie said
That
the
false hope is
exact
horrible.
same.
Yeah.
No, but she went perfectly about it, being like, well, then you need to prove it. I'm not putting
100%.
in any more effort
100%.
now.
I loved how
Balls in
Adrian
your
was like
court.
nitpicking him as well, and just like poking the bear. He was like,
Oh.
so you spent some time with Veronica. How do you feel about
Adrian's
her?
a shit stirrer.
I
We know that, right?
But
we
I kind
know
of
that.
love him for doing that. Like, I kind of was like, you need to. I know.
Totally. Someone else needed to call him out on his
100%.
bullshit. And I think because he's been such a liked member of this season, it would have been really tricky to do so. But frankly, stringing someone along for that long
Yeah.
is absolutely unacceptable.
It's so bad.
It's cruel, it's mean, and we all know where this is going. And to have the person that you have, supposedly been so incredibly into for
Yeah.
the past 2 months, sit in front of 20 people sobbing her eyes out.
Oh.
You can't even hug her.
I know. Or
Like,
like even just like hold her hand, or just like just a hold on your arm.
this is how Dave sat while he was having the conversation.
Even just like holding her and being like, I'm so sorry. Like, this is
It
how
was
I
so
feel. It was just
weird.
crazy.
It was so weird. It's like, okay, robot man.
Yes.
Like,
And then when at the dinner party he was confronted and he was like, oh, it was just so awkward. And she's like, but there's different ways to say it. And he was like, oh, but it was just so awkward. There are ways to go about conversation even when it's awkward. Of course it's going to be awkward. You're leaving it to the last minute to tell her that you don't have feelings for her. It's just crazy. I'm just gobsmacked by the whole thing.
This is Tim behavior from week
Yes.
1, right?
Yes.
And that's actually even better than this because it's like, well, at least he's not wasting her fucking time.
100%.
And he's not like telling her one thing and doing something else. And I think Jamie has every right to feel colossally pissed off in this, because you would just feel like the whole thing had been a lie. And I think everything would be, doubt would have been cast as to what is real, what isn't, you know. There's been not a single problem raised so far. My feeling is that he's probably just terrible at communication and super, super avoidant, and so shuts down in those types of uncomfortable situations. And like, that's fine to be, but also you're an adult.
Yeah.
Go to therapy, do something, fix yourself. It's like, he's what, 39?
I know.
Like, babes,
I know.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Get yourself sorted. Don't, MAFS is not the answer. A deep therapeutic session is probably going to be a better use of your time. If you can't communicate effectively with people in that way.
Do you think that he ever had feelings for Jamie?
Ooh.
Which is quite an intense question, but I don't know how I feel about this. But
so I think he likes her as a person, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because it's just weird you'd think that when you spend that much time together with someone for like, 2 months, he like interrupted her when she said 3 and he's like, it's actually been 2.
Oh my God. I hate this man.
Oh my God. And you think after spending all that time that your feelings would either progress, but like you'd start to feel maybe after a couple of weeks and you're like, oh, I don't have feelings. But the fact that he went all this way and only now realizing he doesn't have feelings for her, it's like, it's just bizarre. It's so weird.
I don't know if his strategy has been to like be a standout couple of the season, which obviously they have, and so kind of string someone along so they make it to the end and he gets the screen time. I would like to think that's not him.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, how everyone feels is that there are so few answers as to why he's switched up this quickly that, you know, we can't help but then start to fill in the gaps, right? Has he cheated on Veronica? Is he just using her to get more airtime and get to the end? Is he, you know, actually just really bad? Like, is he avoidant? And since she's told him she loves him, has that like sent him into a spiral? Like, there are so many ways and options as to how and why he's feeling this way. And it's like, I just want to know. Yeah. Like, it's just
I just want to know what's going on in his
weird.
head because, I don't know.
If anything, it's
I think a little bit was for screen time. I'm not going to lie.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think Jamie, bless her heart, as any woman would, really struggle to trust him at all again because this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll, I don't know. This kind of charade is deeply unsettling. Deeply unsettling. You think you know someone for that long, everything's fine, everything's dandy, and 3 days from being away from them, they like come back a completely different person. Like, how could you ever trust somebody like that again?
And the thing is, what we're seeing is what goes on like in front of the screen. Like, imagine what goes on behind the scenes. Like, they would obviously be sleeping in the same bed together, having those late night conversations.
Well, exactly.
You know, making coffee in the morning, having those chats, spending all day together. These are the things that we don't see. So the fact that she's this heartbroken after like us just seeing what's going on screen just really shows that he was fooling her. Like, he really
gut-wrenching. Actually gut-wrenching, and I hope they give us some answers to this.
I know.
Wow. That was a lot.
Yeah. I feel like I really needed to let that all out.
Quite the catharsis this week.
Yeah.
My God.
I know.
What do you think is going to happen at the commitment ceremonies on Sunday?
I think Dave is just going to fully admit that he just doesn't have feelings.
Oh, do you?
I do. I don't know. I think it's like it would have been, you know, they would have had some time. He would have had some time to ponder and think and, you know, writing, you know, the stay or leave on the letter. And I just wonder if he's going to write stay or leave.
I think he's going to bitch out and say leave because I think he's going to take it to the end. And look, frankly, we know he does. So I can't see him writing leave because I think he's just going to give some, stupid excuse being like, I have hope for this. And we all know he's lying.
Yeah. I feel like he could totally like tell the experts, I don't have feelings, but I have hope for this, and then write stay. That's like generally what I think might happen.
Yeah. And like feelings doesn't mean I care for you.
Yeah.
Like
no.
I don't want you to like, I don't want, like, what does that even mean? Firstly,
you can literally care for anything. Like you could care for a pet, and he's
care for my pot plant, and I still managed to find a way to kill it, right? Like, I care for you. Yeah. What? All right, cool, great.
That many weeks after I care for you. It's
awesome.
Just, that means nothing. Like if someone said that to me, I was like, that literally means nothing to me.
It's an empty, it's vague,
empty promises.
Empty.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
No,
How much? Like it's not quantifiable.
Yeah.
He's not said I like you even.
I know.
Even platonically.
He can't even say that. I know.
I don't hate her. But I care for her.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to see somebody else's misfortune. That doesn't make you a good guy. I care for her. I don't want her to, slip over and fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Wow. So considerate. Yeah. And with that, we are done. Until Sunday night, where we obviously start this whole charade all back up again.
Yep.
And the cycle continues. Only for a few more weeks, though.
Yeah, wow. What are we going to do once MAFS over? Rest, sleep?
I don't, probably sleep until the next season starts again. Very, very lost.
Yeah.
They'll be after MAF, though.
True.
See what I did there. All right. Well, thanks, guys, so much for tuning into this week's episode of So Fucking What. Celia will also be joining us, I think, for next week's as well, while Steven's in China. He's in the chai. He did not like me when I said that the other day. He's like, it's China. It's like, all right. You're making it boring. Okay, but we will see you next Thursday morning. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.